Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to my channel. This is Plant Marks the Pot with me. My name is Brandon, and I today have this unveiling of my story, my origin story, and how I got here, and the reason why I'm here speaking with you today. So, I began as a horticulture, really just a hobbyist. I always had a passion for plants and horticulture and things like that. And they just always kind of piqued my interest and was a fascination. And so over the years, what happened, I would say it really began probably with my mom. She always had house plants like dracaenas and things like that. And I didn't really learn a lot from her per se, maybe a few basics here and there. But I think where it really began is around 2008. I moved to a place here in downtown Kansas City, Missouri, known as the River Market District. It's a really popular place, really trendy with lots of shops. There's a farmer's market. There's also a lot of new high-end loft spaces. And so I got a loft down there and I was really intrigued. I was young. It was really trendy to be down there, and I wanted to be kind of where in the middle of the city where all the hype was at. And so what I noticed about my space is that it was really industrial. It was really modern, but the building had historic charm. However, there was exposed plumbing and brick and exposed electrical and concrete floors. So it kind of took on that cool, cold feeling that you see with lofts. And so I always thought, well, a way to kind of make this home would be to bring in houseplants and things like that. And so, I think this is important for a lot of people starting out, because this is how I started out. It wasn't pretty. Things didn't go well right away. I saw plants. I think I got a canna lily or something like that first. And, it's like, I think I even killed a canna lily, which is really hard to do. I tried, I didn't know what was what. I think I tried making a tulip a house plant. And so there was a lot of trial and error, and there's a lot of things that just didn't make it, but I just never gave up trying, because I like that feel, that comfort of something living, something green, something foliage, something inviting in the house that was kind of dynamic and ever changing. So that kind of sparked that itch, and it did kind of spill outdoors even. I always wanted to dress up my front entryway by having a nice cool shrub, a nice plant here or there. And so that is what planted the seed, no pun, and really kind of got the ball rolling. And I think that seed lay dormant in my head for another almost 10 years. So fast forward to around 2014, 15, I was working at a restaurant. I was living in a condo here in Overland Park, Kansas area, which is more of the suburb of Kansas City. And so I think I would always make a trip to the garden center, even if it was at a grocery store or a Walmart or something like that, just to see what was going on. And so once again, it was something that keep my mind busy, keep me focused on something. I mean, maybe even keep me out of trouble. So what ended up happening with that is I think I just got some pansies or something like that, planted them in my garden bed. It wasn't even the individual ones. It was like the pots. And so it kind of started with that. And then I looked and saw some coleus and put that around there, and you just other annuals to have around the as bedding plants. And lo and behold, boom, my garden is full out of nowhere. And my neighbors would pass by and say, "Oh, the garden looks great. You know, it was nothing but a bunch of weeds at first, and now it's colorful and bright. And I love walking by it when I'm walking my dog every morning and having my coffee or whatever." And so it kind of spilled into other things. I was working at a restaurant as a server in a place called Town Center, and kind of same thing happened. You know, they had big pots outside, and the pots would be planted by my boss. They were usually pansies as well, and he would never water them. I mean, he was trying to run a business, and so I just offered, "Hey, can I water these plants out here?" So he thought, "Yeah, cool. I mean, go ahead. You know, you're gonna do what I don't want to do for me. Like, knock yourself out." So I'd water these pansies, you know, and or petunias is what it was. Anyway, I couldn't save them. As soon as the hot summer came, you know, there's no amount of water I could have put on them for what they were planted in and whatnot. So they just didn't make it invariably. And really, that was one of the pivotal best things that could happen, because from there, excuse me, from there, I thought, well, I got some coleus or something like that laying around the house. I'll just bring a bunch of different color of coleus, filled in the pots. There's 12 in total. And what would you know? They look great. You know, people were like, "Oh, that looks, you know." And so the boss is just like, "All right, you're in charge of plant duties from here on out." I'm now the honorary plant guy at the restaurant. Each year I would get a stipend for how much I could spend on plants, and I'd go down to our garden nursery and just find what I felt adequate to dress these pots up every year. And every year I tried to kind of outdo myself the previous year. And so my goal was to really just make a statement, create something that you really don't see often or really ever before. And so it was things like canna lilies or cordyline or elephant ears, but I would put other colorful, you know, the concept, the thriller, spiller, and filler in these pots, but I would make them just out of this world and over the top and something you haven't seen in your average restaurant or even a shopping center. So I just really went after it. And at that moment, that's where I reached my turning point, and there was kind of no looking back, because, you know, I was dating a girl at the time, and she was also very entrepreneurial, and she was like, "You should look into this. You should pursue this. Like, you have something there," while she's scrolling and looking at my pictures. And I'm all like, "No, you know, it's nothing. I mean, who wants plants and pots anyways? I mean, there's no money in it, really. I mean, people aren't even looking to, how much money can you make anyway?" So the idea kind of got shot down, and she was like, "Well, we got to break up because I'm moving out of town, so see ya." And, you know, my brain works like, well, I'm going to show her, you know, so she's gone. And that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because from then on, people started asking me, you know, "Can you do this at my house? Can you do this at my pool, my patio? Like, how much do you charge?" And, you know, in the back of my head, I'm thinking about all those neighbors that were walking by and saying, "Your gardening looks great every year. Like, that's amazing." So it just all sort of clicked. And from there, I started taking this seriously, and I thought, you know, I could make this into a business. And I pursued it. I kind of reverse engineer it, really. I started a business, and then I went to school for what I was going into business for. I studied horticulture at our local community college and learned all the, you know, terminology and horticulture and arboriculture and all that fun stuff. And by that time, you know, people were just like, "Dude, I don't have any pots for you to do. Would you be interested in doing my landscaping?" And so I'm just like, yeah, enough of those pots anyways. Like, nobody wants those pots. Yeah, I'll do your landscaping. I had no idea how much to charge. I barely knew what I was doing, but I just kept meeting people who were nice enough to let me do it. And I didn't really charge a whole lot. So it was kind of like, well, if it, doesn't work out, so be it. And I was so eager that if I messed up, which I did, I was willing to go back and fix it and make it right. And, that's something I continue to try to do, is cover my tracks. If I ever mess up, then I want to have that ability to come back and fix it and make things right. So real quick, always let me know what you're drinking today. It's the Palm Beach Punch, the loose leaf from Natural Grocers. It's delicious. Just had to wet the palate real quick before I finish the rest of the story, because I want to kind of show you what's coming up in this channel. So stick to it. Once again, if you're not already a subscriber, this is a great opportunity to give it a like, subscribe, look for some of my future videos. I know I don't have a whole lot of videos out now. I have one on the fiddle leaf fig, another one on actually I got one coming up here on the Stromantha Triostar is coming up. I got, what else do I got out there? Oh, one on the Birds of Paradise that I put out last week. And there's going to be many, many, many more to come. I have a whole list of plants and topics and techniques and strategies and do's and don'ts and things that I personally use that have worked for me. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to just relay what I've learned over the dozen or so years that I've really kind of pursued plants and horticulture and things like that. So back to the business. The way the business got really going is people just saw something in me that maybe I didn't, and they were willing to, lend their garden space and a few, dollars to get things going for them. And I would, and, they always turned out great in the long run. There was times where I came back and, replanted something because it didn't make it. Maybe I put the wrong plant in the wrong place. And so, you will most likely in the springtime, it's wintertime here now, you will be seeing some outdoor plants. This whole concept of Plant Marks the Pot will spill outdoors. And that's what I want to offer you. That's kind of my unique selling proposition of this channel, is that I want to kind of encompass all things plant and the things that I come across that I find beautiful, interesting, unique, and worthy of attention. So that's really how it got going. It didn't start off hot and heavy. I was getting customers and clients at the restaurant. They were asking me to, do their landscaping, and I just have that eye for color and detail and textures and things like that, because a little bit of my backstory, probably should have brought this up earlier, is I was an architecture student. So I just always had an eye for design, color, form, space, unity, things like that, all those lofty, artsy concepts. And so I just see it before it even hits the ground. I'll draw it out, but usually I kind of see it in my head before even pen hits the paper. So that's kind of what made me a great fit, or maybe made landscaping a great, fit. You know what I'm trying to say. So that's really how it got created. And then it just kind of spiraled. It, spilled out of the restaurants, and then I got on to finding leads for myself, any means possible, you name it. Put my name out there to find out how I can get work and how I can prove myself. And so it really brings us to where things are today, in 2021. Can't believe it, that, I wanted to relay my strengths and weaknesses and put even vulnerabilities out there of what I am, what I'm about, and kind of let you know where I'm coming from, just because I'm kind of the new kid on the block. But hopefully I can make that impression, and hopefully, I can, prove my worth in this community and just be, upfront and vulnerable and honest with you, because, your views, your likes, subscriptions, and comments really mean everything to me. This is kind of a scary endeavor for me, and I always like to be challenged and try new things, and I'm really experimental and like to kind of take myself out of my comfort zone. So things to expect, I definitely want to branch out and fill a lot of gaps that I am not seeing in even the YouTube space. I've done all kinds of research on all kinds of different plants, and what I often find is there's not a video on it. And so I have to look extensively. I'm talking about things like the pseudoranthemum, which I rarely see anywhere. It's kind of a niche thing that's kind of hard to find. Or the signature plant, the bay leaf. We've got, what else do I not see out there? The Fats hedra. There's gaps that I see that I feel like that's what I can offer, my value offering. So I just wanted to approach you with this origin story of who I am, where I came from, what I'm doing here, and what the direction of this channel is going to be. And I'd love to know what you're sipping on, no matter what it is. Let me know, as well as what you think, or some things you want to know about anything related to plants, pots, horticulture, propagation, light, you name it, humidimeters. I'm all there. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the comments and likes. And I will look forward to seeing you all in the next videos to come. Stay tuned.